Intro music.
Overview narration.
Oh, doctor!
My name is James,
And my name is Joey.
and this is the Brothers Padre.
James, week 1 is in the books for the San Diego Padres.
Celebrate. I'm deaf singing.
Welcome to week 1 recap. The very first recap of the past week. Last week we recapped, of course, game 1. We won ceremoniously against the Arizona Diamondbacks. And then we're now going to go over the first week of the San Diego Padres 2021 season.
Yes, we are. Not what we hoped for. Definitely signs that we can do some improvement. What we thought we were going to be good at, we were good at. And the question marks are still question marks.
Yes, James, let's just jump right into it. So the first game that we did not recap because the opener, we went over the opener already.
We get it.
April.
Just get on with this. Get on with it, as God would say.
This is how you know I don't have the tabs loaded up. 'Cause I'm trying to like space out. So I'm like, I'm gonna say whatever words, and then eventually the tabs load.
We're talking about our producers. That's his job.
So the first game, April 2nd, against the Arizona Diamondbacks, the San Diego Padres won from a score of 4-2. The Diamondbacks had 2 runs, 8 hits, James. And the San Diego Padres had 4 runs and 9 hits. But
One
the Padres also had 2 errors, James.
Yes.
Do you remember that game, James?
I do remember that game. It was a nail biter. Snell did not look 100% sharp.
He looked pretty good.
He looked good, but he wasn't. This is Cy Young Snell. He definitely looked like he was nervous, and even he said at the end of the game he could have pitched better.
4.2 innings pitched, James. 4 hits allowed, 2 walks, and 8 strikeouts. So did not finish the 5th inning.
It's okay because I don't think a single one of our starters have a win this week.
Ouch. The sadness. The sadness is real.
The sadness is weird.
It's a fun. I thought this game was really interesting because it kind of started. The theme of this week is consistent here, right? You have super high excitement around every team, around the team. You have our bullpen really performing well. Our pitchers performing like Snell, performing super well in pressure situations and like really working through it, really working through bad stuff.
Yeah, the story for this week was how good our bullpen truly is.
Oh yeah, it's awesome. We are lead. I mean, hasn't been a lot of baseball games, but our bullpen has the best baseball bullpen ERA in all of baseball. Baseball bullpen ERA in all of baseball. I made that too complex. The best ERA for the bullpen. I still made it, man. The
best ERA bullpen in all of baseball.
Something still sounds weird about it. Anyways, that's what happened this week. We learned a lot this week, this game. We still have patience at the plate, James.
We do.
Angel Hernandez is what, James?
He's trash.
He's still trash.
And so did Major League Baseball just dump all of the worst umpires in this
It was
umpire
awful.
team? Because not only was the first guy,
Ted Barrett, yeah.
trash opening game, Angel Hernandez, we always know, is trash.
It was awful.
The next 2 games, the umpires were trash. The Major League Baseball, you have to have some sort of reviews board. These guys can no longer be in charge of Major League Baseball games.
No.
It was the whole team. Is there a way we can look up the umpire schedules too? Because whenever these guys are in town,
That's a good question.
it has to be with all the analytics.
Do you think Vegas like routes that in their predictions? Like,
You have to be. Angel Hernandez. Oh, strikes are going to be random. That whole umpire team.
Eric Hosmer, James,
Hosgod.
had a heck of a game, Jamesy. He went 3 at-bats, 2 runs, 3 hits, and 3 RBIs, James. Very good. He this week won NL Player of the Week.
He did.
He did very well this week. I At this point on April 2nd, he had 12 total bases through 2 games, the most in franchise history.
Here's an interesting thing. In the last 9 weeks of Major League Baseball, so going back for the last season, a San Diego Padre has won Player of the Week 5 times.
Listen, I like that. This is starting to see some real, I think something that an early storyline that's when we talk about other games. The offense is inconsistent. Fernando wasn't doing good this game, which we'll talk about later.
We'll talk about that later.
He had a very poor defense. This is going to be a theme you're going to see in a couple of these games. Poor defensive game for Fernando. There was like questionable base running in general. It's the second game, so like whatever.
I think questionable base running, no. I think we're trying to start off early on the season. The Padres are aggressive. And we were aggressive last year, and that forces pitchers to make more pitches and make more mistakes.
Yep. So I was wrong about Merrill Kelly, James. Last week I said Merrill Kelly is going to be the one that beats us. Mm-hmm. He was not the Diamondback pitcher that beat us, and I said he was. So I'll eat my humble pie, James. I'll eat it by the spoonful. We learned something else, James, is that there's a new villain in the NL West, didn't we?
Oh, he is. We talked about the first episode. He is the ghost of Barry Bonds.
So he hurt his hammy in Coors, probably because people always hurt themselves because of elevation. So I'm sure he's fine. But he was, as of yesterday, batting .552 with a 2,000 OPS. You're like, what?
Perhaps we should say this player's name.
Ketel Marte.
Ketel Marte. I actually forgot his name. You mentioned his name just flew out of my mind.
Someone needs to explain to me how a guy with such a short swing path has such power. I don't understand it.
You know who also had that? Barry Bonds.
It's just very questionable, and he destroyed us. It's going to be a theme this whole series. James and I would text each other, "Oh no, the bad man's here." It was awful.
Just aim for his head.
Any other thoughts about this game, James, before we move on to game 3?
No, it was a great second game. We won. Our bullpen looks sharp. Again, Tatis was throwing balls, all kinds of cattywampus.
Alexa, look up cattywampus.
It's a word.
Okay. Game 3, James, against also said Arizona Diamondbacks. Joe Musgrove's first start of the season, James.
Our true ace. This man, I knew he was. I knew he was gonna do great.
We literally have a podcast. I can just go back to last episode. We both said it was gonna be Darvish. 2 episodes
I know,
ago.
but I was looking forward. I knew Musgrove was going to be the guy that was going to show the most improvement because of pitching in San Diego.
James, the score of this game: 7 runs to San Diego Padres, 0 runs to the Arizona Diamondbacks, who also had 4 hits and 2 errors, and we had 10 hits and 0 errors. A very good game.
Very good game
from the San Diego.
The game
Padres.
We want 80% of our games to be like.
Yeah. It was a fun time. Let's just say that. It was a lot of fun. Joe Musgrove, 6 innings pitch dominant, and then official mascot of the podcast, Ryan Weathers, comes out dominant for 3 innings, James.
He's got the save, and I've looked into it. We can legally adopt him. You can do adult adoptions. I think as together we should adopt this man.
Hope he's okay with that.
I mean,
I would love, I texted this to you while we're watching the game. I would love it if he became that role, that Goose Gossage, Dennis Eckersley, like 3 inning save guy. I guess an old school save. No one really does this anymore. He will be a starter eventually. Looked great. It was a great game. I think Will Myers still hot, James. Still hot.
Willpower.
Ha-Seong Kim, he looks better and better throughout this week, but this is when he first gets really good. Has 2 hits and an RBI. Our boy Manny Machado has his first home run. And yeah, it was just a good game.
It lived up to all of the potential we thought the Padres. We know the Padres can be. This is the Padres at their best. Dominant pitching, dominant hitting, and Hosmer wasn't even in the lineup.
True. Yeah, listen, his back was hurting from carrying the whole team.
Or he just has a under 0 batting average against that pitcher.
It was awesome. It was a very fun game. I hope that Joe Musgrove is our Joe Musgrove. Sharp curveball, really looking good. Ryan Weathers, awesome. Very fun game. Any other thoughts about that game before we move on to Game 4? It's always weird that the blowout games, you have less to talk about, but it's just because I think you and I, we want the Padres. Like, this is our expectation for the Padres.
Yes.
Game. This is it. We want a starter to go 6 innings perfect, if not 7 innings perfect, and then we just close the door.
We want our dominant bullpen to go out there. We want our son to get the save. These are the things we want. We want your wife's crush, Will Myers, to hit home runs.
Yeah.
We want Machado to do well. This was everything we want the Padres to be.
Yes, I agree.
And now we have to talk about Paddock.
Chris Paddock, man. Game 4. The Padres fall to the snakes in the desert.
First loss of the season.
3-1. Diamondbacks posted 6 hits. The Padres also posted 6 hits, but only 1 run. But the Padres also posted 2 errors. James, it wasn't great. Paddock
Was
started
not
the game.
sharp at all.
Yeah.
It was almost like he was yelling at the home plate, fastball, and he's throwing a fastball. Curveball, and he's throwing a curve. They knew exactly what he was pitching every game. He has a million tells.
He got to 1-2, 0-2 pitches counts a lot. And he looked. I said this on Twitter. Like, he looked okay. I think he just never had an out pitch the whole game, and he got very unlucky. So David Peralta hit a dribbler down the line for a triple. That stinks. But he needs to get an out. He needs a real out pitch. He doesn't have it. You know, his stats around his pitches are still fine. It just none of it plays against each other. So it's. I think it's still too early to say the Chris Paddock experiment is over, but
I agree, and we've said that. I think I've said this in the podcast before. Chris Paddock has about 3. I'm giving him 3 starts this season to show that he can turn around. Once Lamet comes back, there's no reason why we should have a pitcher who is. We're still trying out. When we can, again, call up, I'm going to say him again, this name, Mackenzie Gore, we can call up and have him try out the big leagues. You know? If we're just going to have a whatever, let's experiment starter, we can do it with anybody. We can have Weathers start.
yeah, I think you're right. It's once Lamet comes rolling around, there's 2 big oh man moments for Paddock, and he has to be good around both those times. First is Lamet. The second is when old Mike Clevenger comes back next year.
Yes.
I don't know. He has to be what 2019 Paddock was, which is he played that changeup off his fastball and had a curveball. Like that, he needs to be that guy, and it's just tough. But I mean, what's tough is Lamet is effectively a 2-pitch pitcher too, as well. It doesn't hurt that his 2 pitches are like devastating.
Yes,
So
but
it's a little different.
that's a misnomer because yes, he throws a fastball, slider, and he can also throw a changeup. So
Are you talking about Lamet or Paddock?
Lamet.
Yeah.
but he can change his arm angle on all three of those pitches.
What I mean is, like, Lamet is devastating, like, is a plus on all of them.
Yes.
Paddock has a plus changeup, an okay fastball that can not have horizontal movement at time, which just makes it batting practice.
Yeah, batting practice, yeah.
And a curveball, which every so often becomes, like, is a dandy.
It goes from Little League to Clayton Kershaw.
Yeah.
It's impressive sometimes.
Yes. Tim Hill redeemed himself, James, in this game.
He did.
Now the pride of Palomar College, once again.
Once again, the pride of Palomar College. We can hold our head high and wear our... I don't have anything that says Palomar College.
Stop me if you heard this one before. The game, we were kept competitive by Nabil Krismet and Taylor Williams, James. I know something we said a lot last year.
Yeah, so much. I had to Google who Klismic was.
Nabil Krismet had a great spring training. Like, yeah, sure, if you're great in spring training, which is, you should pitch any 2 innings of pitching, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts, 1 hit, but, no runs, dude. That plays. Taylor Williams, that gyro ball, James, 1 inning pitch. Tim Hill, 1 inning pitch as well, 1 hit.
So Taylor Williams, doesn't he just look like he should have a number 1 hit on the country's country music top 40? Like,
you ever look at a man and like, oh, you are Taylor Williams, aren't you?
Yeah, you just like his parents saw him at this age, long hair.
Yeah.
He just looks like he just came out of a Dodge commercial.
Yeah. And then I think I'm going to say the breakout star for this week, James, is Kiana Kella.
Yes.
That guy's curveball is nasty.
It's like everything they said about him was true.
How did we just get him for like nothing?
We got him from the Rangers, right?
No, we just signed him.
Oh, that's right. We signed him.
With him and Melanson, who also just I'm not picking him for my breakout star for the week, but I think Kiana Kellogg wins my breakout star for the week, James. He impressed me all this week. He impressed me in a game where he's behind. I thought it was awesome. I thought it was just like, oh wow, this guy's really, really good. We lost that game, James. Any other thoughts before we move on to game 5 versus?
Again, we lost it. Tatis did his first home run, his longest of his career, though. We forgot to mention that.
James, you're off by 1 day in our notes.
Am I off by 1 day?
Yes. Oh, are you off by 1 day? No, you're not. You're right.
No, I'm not.
I'm off by 1 day. Sorry, my bad. Like I said, we've fired 2 producers already.
Yeah.
We've had 2 different studio changes. We're still figuring it out.
We're still figuring this out. I mean, obviously. So, yes. Tatis hit the longest home run of his career, 468 feet, I believe.
Yep. That'll play.
That'll play. Yes. I don't care where you are. That will be a home run.
James.
That was probably the best upside to see Tatis Jr. with hits. We'll talk about it. But
At this point, Tatis Jr. had committed 4 errors.
yes.
He did not look good on the field. James, do you know how many errors he made all of the 60 games last year?
I think it was 1.
3.
Oh, that's right. It's what he's already committed 1 more error than he did. Yeah, that was.
So, James, not looking good. And then, shall we move on to game 5, James?
Yes.
The darkest
Bring
of
on the
games.
Giants. Those pesky irritants from San Francisco.
The San Francisco Giants versus the San Diego Padres on April 5th, James. Giants beat us 3-2. 3 runs off 9 hits with 1 error. The Padres had 2 runs on 8 hits with 1 error. James, we lost this game.
We did.
What's the theme for most of our losses? We didn't lose by much.
No.
And also the theme is our offense died, both, on the bat, at bat, in other ways as well, James.
Yes.
Shall we go into the moment that you and I have been hinting at episode.
We were both watching the game together while we were texting back and forth, and when it happened, I believe I sent you a long line of words we cannot say at a family broadcast. Yeah, let's talk about it. Fernando Tatis Jr. swung the bat so hard and so magnificently, he popped his shoulder out of his socket.
The term is labral tear, James. Left shoulder labral tear.
The point is, if you in the slow-mo of the swing, you can see his shoulder pop out of its socket.
It's not good, James.
No, this is a Bo Jackson type of injury. You're more athletic than your body can handle.
It's one of those things of like, it's like when you buy something brand new and then it just, breaks on the first day. And you're like, oh, I can fix it. And you're like, oh, it definitely is fixable. But part of me's like, would it ever be fixed again? Yeah. That's all the thought. This is the dark thoughts I've had.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
So, just a little context. The Padres have known about this left shoulder injury for a while.
We've all known about it for a while.
He had an issue in spring training, and it was just something where they're playing it out. So more or less, the reason why he's been so sneaky on the field is he's nursing injury. People have speculated online and in the media like this. He's not looking right. Something's wrong, and this is why he has a shoulder injury, a ligament that's prone to be more injured in the future. Yeah, it was real rough. This is early in the game. He yanked a throw, too. So it was rough. There's no way else around it. Just the photo is him. He's huddled on the ground because if you and I have both dislocated joints in our life.
I've dislocated my my shoulder. Even I know what that feels like.
I forgot that. Yeah, you and I both have. So take it from us. It's not fun.
No, it does not tickle.
It does not. Eventually, it becomes less painful, but then you become less useful. So
Yes, then you have to go for us normies 7 weeks of physical therapy.
Oh my goodness, James. We'll talk about more at the end what that means for the Padres season. The rest of the game, it's going to be a theme. This
literally,
week.
You saw.
Oh my gosh.
The wind fall out of our sails. Just the entire team.
Too sad,
but just like, what just happened? And it was the entire ballpark was quiet. All of San Diego was just quiet. It was not good.
It was rough. It was real rough. I wrote in my notes, pain. Not good. But weirdly enough, like the game itself, apart from Fernando, like our pitching still held up.
Oh no, we still have that's just how crazy our team is. We still have an A+ ball club, even without the best player in baseball in it.
Yeah.
There is something about having a player that ignites the league, ignites the team, and Fernando is that.
Exactly. It is a huge blow, but it does not make us non-competitive. We are
not at all. Not at all. We're still the second best team in the National League.
Yeah. So, Morejon pitched an all-time career high. I actually don't think that Adrian Morejon's line is as bad as it looks. That sounds like the dumbest thing to say in the world because it's just. But I think he had 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 1 walk, and 2 strikeouts. I think that what I liked from him is just like a real maturity. Really took on that role, and I think what I liked about it is that it could very easily have spiraled out of control, and he really held the situation down. I think.
Oh no, he was dominant when he needed to be. Yes,
he's still so young. He's still such a young pitcher, and he has such great stuff. Like I think he's going to be he's going to be so much fun in the future.
Yeah,
like,
no, there's no doubt.
He's
going to be. He is definitely. Don't want to jinx him, but he's definitely looks like he can have a Cy Young or two in his career.
And of course, James, our boy, Bill Chrismet, comes back again. 2 strikeouts, 1 walk, 1 hit, 1 inning pitch. Craig Stammen. Which Craig Stammen we got today? The one that lost us the game. That's who we got, James. The one who gave Mr. Mike Yastrzemski a home run that made the game 3-2. Mike Yastrzemski, who was scratched during the game, which I said, yay, we won't see the person that's the best hitter on the Giants. And then he gets pitch hits for somebody and hits a home run. I think Craig Stammen's a liability. I think that he's good for sub 15 pitches, and I don't think he should pitch more than 1 inning. That's what I'm going to say. Jay Stingler, you have my number. He doesn't have my number. I think that our bullpen's incredible, but Craig Stammen needs to be used differently.
Craig Stammen is that guy. Again, I will for always love him for starting in the playoff game.
Oh, yeah.
He did a great job. He lived up to the
the senior guy.
Yeah, he was a senior guy. He did his job. He shut them down. He will always have a place in my heart as a Padre hero. As far as what he is in the bullpen, he is one of those long relief guys you throw in there after your pitcher was rocked in the first and second inning. Like,
that's not how they're using him, though.
No, we just need him in there to stop the bleeding, and we're going to lose this game. We're down 7 runs. Now, you can't obviously have a spot like that in your bullpen because that's just a stupid spot to have your bullpen. Right. It is when you know you're not a good team. You need that guy.
Right.
Craig Stammen, I agree. I don't think last year he was a long relief guy. Him and Strom. Strom, of course, is hurt, so he's not in the bullpen. I think, I don't know, Stammen wasn't that sharp. He can be. He just isn't. He is definitely the weakest arm we have in our bullpen. He is the least dominant we have.
I don't understand how they're using him. I should say that again. I know that in a pressure situation, I trust that Jay Stingler in the playoffs, if we're tied 2-2 in an elimination game, is not going to put Craig Stammen on the 6th.
Oh, no, not at all.
No, I think he's going to play what's becoming maybe the 3, maybe the 4-headed horseman now of Pagan, Palm, Kella, and Melanson.
Throw
in any of those orders.
Throw Weathers in there. Those are 5. Dominant.
Chills right now, dude. That's awesome. Our bullpen's freaking not rad, dude.
Our bullpen is. I've never seen a Padre bullpen this good. And the fact that we have Craig Stammen, who is okay, and that's just it. He's okay. He'll be okay in any team he pitches for. It's just he's okay in a group of killers.
Yeah. He can't be used this way the rest of the season. He has to be used in a more, lack of better, gingerly. I don't know. Better. It's not that situation.
He's a 1-inning reliever. He's not a multi-inning reliever.
Yeah. Okay, James. Any other thoughts before we move on to game number 6?
No. I think I'm good.
Game number 6, James. Of course, Darvish redemption game? ?
He was a lot sharper. He definitely had all of his pitches working. He was a Darvish that we
trade nothing for. He's the Darvish we trade nothing for.
He was Hugh Darvish. That's all we have to say. That's what he was. It was awesome.
Your San Diego Padres won 3 runs to the San Diego Giants, 1 run. The Giants had 3 hits on no errors. The Padres had 8 hits on no errors. A very good sign, James. It was a fun game, like I said. Yu Darvish looked. It's really, really good. Really, really, maybe not really, really good. He looked like a big league pitcher that's been around, that had has had the success he's had. He's worked. Some innings he did not. He could tell he's not having his stuff. But Caratini and him, man, Caratini. I have so much. We'll talk about Caratini a little bit later. But Caratini and him really do set up good game plans, and you can just tell Caratini immediately picks up on what Darvish is not having, and him and Darvish
they're in
game
sync.
Plan. It's awesome.
And you can tell he's in sync. He's in sync the way Nola was in sync with our pitchers last year. He's in sync with the way Hedges was, and that's the only reason why Hedges ever had a job, because you can tell good catchers this way when they can sync themselves with the pitchers. Carantini definitely knows Darvish, and he's also he's pitching for a lot of the other players too. I do not think Capasano is going to stay in the majors much longer,
dude.
Especially when Nola comes back. It's definitely going to be Nola and Carantini. Capasano just does not have it.
Not right now. But not the way Caratini's swinging that bat.
No, he hit a home run this game too.
Yeah,
it was right at the ending after Darvish went down when left the game and he couldn't get a decision on it. Carantini went, "Don't worry, I'll win the game for us."
Awesome stuff.
Yeah.
I at this point, the Padres offense, I was like, oh, we're just very cold. There are a few hitters that are doing very, very well, and few people are getting very unlucky. And this was like another game we're watching. I was like, I just don't want it to be another sub-4 run. I know I'm so greedy, but I wanted to be like 5-6 runs.
Yes.
But it wasn't. It was 3-1, and it really wasn't. The Padres were not hitting the ball that well. They weren't doing I would say describe the Padres offense the first week as not getting the big hit when they need to. There are plenty of times when men are on base, plenty of times when base loaded, and they just weren't able to get that big hit. Except for two people, which is, of course, we mentioned earlier, Eric Hosmer, NL Player of the Week, and Victor Caratini, James.
Yes.
And I thought it was awesome. I thought that it's cool to see that he stepped up, even though our offense really isn't doing that well. It really
isn't doing that well.
It isn't.
I know.
James, who do you think our top 5 batting leaders are? Top 6. You'll know some of them.
It's Hosmer.
Hosmer.
It's Carantini.
Yep.
I would think Myers is up there.
Yep. So you described the 2018 Padres so far. Okay, go.
Yeah, so I would have
Caratini.
not Carantini. I would have. I mean, I don't know who the other two would be.
So the top 5 are Myers, who has had 2 home runs, gets a walk rate of 20%. That'll play. Not sustainable, but that'll play. Hosmer, Cronenworth, Caratini, and Jerickson Profar.
We haven't talked about Cronenworth. He's been consistent.
Oh, yeah. He was put on the top of the lineup, and he did a very good job.
He did, yes.
He got on base, James. As very important to get on base. He's posting a .433 on base percentage, James. That will play.
That will play. On any team, anywhere.
We start seeing the kind of the weird shaping of what's to come with the new baseball. The Padres have hit, at this point, tons of fly balls to the warning track. More than I can count. It's crazy.
Well, yeah, the Padres.
Pham has had 6 home runs.
Yes, if it was
the old ball.
The old ball. I mean, yes, Petco Park is not a home run town.
Yeah.
And when we go play in stadiums that are home run stadiums, where those will go out. But yes, you could definitely tell the ball was dying a lot more times.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just, it's hard to say if it's the ball or it's just, we've been very, very, very unlucky this week when it comes to balls being hit. We were going to talk about it. I don't think it's in the notes, but the name we haven't mentioned a lot, but we should, is Machado.
Oh yeah,
Machado. What's the stat?
He leads all MLB in hard hit balls.
So he's made contact with the baseball more than anybody in baseball,
and hit the ball hard.
So ideally, that means runs and hits. But every time he's at bat, he hits a smoker into a glove. Yeah. It's just, no matter what, he's been hitting into gloves. He is, if all of his hits were going just a little bit to the left or right 5 feet, he would be batting 1,000. Yeah. He's legitimately this is the stat that shows, oh no, he is hot. He is swinging a hot bat. He's just unlucky.
Yeah.
If those were hits, these would be much different games. We would be winning by a lot more runs.
And that being said, the Padres and the Astros are tied for the hardest hit rate amongst any teams in baseball right now. So 31% of our at-bats are a hard hit ball.
So no, our offense is just unlucky. We're not in a slump. There's a difference between a slump and unlucky. Now, unfortunately, being unlucky can lead to a slump and break batters' confidence. We just hopefully things will pick up where we're maybe play less defensive capable teams and pick up our batting average.
I would say the Giants this whole series, man, the Giants have some good defenders. They have some really good defenders, and they're all that veteran glove feel. You know, they're just like they're in the right place. They're never over.
They're not necessarily the fastest. They just know where to stand.
Yeah. So that definitely led to our disadvantage because they just took a lot of hits away. Game 7, James, against the same San Francisco Giants. Kevin Gausman, their ace, towed the mound. Beat us 3-2. They had 3 runs, 5 hits, and 1 errors. And we had 2 runs and 5 hits on 2 errors, James. Must talk about this game. Kevin Gausman is nasty. He's a very good pitcher.
He's a very, very good pitcher. He's just dominant. He's so good, he shouldn't be on the Giants.
I mean, they signed him for a qualifying offer, so he has 1 year making $18.9 million. Boo-hoo. Poor guy. So, Blake Snell also towed the rubber for the Padres. I thought Blake Snell looked okay.
He did look sharp. He did. This was a close game. It went to extra innings, and every time it goes to extra innings, you know it's a close game usually.
Yep. He gave up 2 hits, 2 earned runs, which I don't think they should be earned runs. We'll talk about that in a second.
Yes.
4 walks, pretty high, 8 strikeouts, but was a big league pitcher about it. Got his work done. The Padres relievers also shut it down. After that, he was left. Williams, Weathers, Pomeranz, Melanson, and Tim Hill unfortunately got the raw end of the deal with the loss. So before we go into the extra innings, we need to talk about center field, James.
Mm-hmm.
So the Giants, on the box score, they got a home run to center field. Mr. Darren Ruff.
This was, and if you're a baseball analogy, and if you know baseball, a Jose Canseco type situation.
Yes. Jorge Mateo is filling in for our normal center fielder, Trent Grisham, who will be returning with us on Friday.
Gold glove.
Yes.
Center fielder.
Important to mention, he won the Golden Glove.
Means he was the best in that position defensively.
Trent Grisham, great story, had a horrible playoffs with the Brewers as a defender and comes back, wins the Gold Glove. The guy has confidence out the wazoo, good defender. He's hurt for a little bit. Mateo and Pham, which we talked about earlier, Pham actually, we both poo-pooed the idea.
I think you did. I was just following along.
Okay. So
because
I'll eat a second dose of humble pie this episode. You should have a little sample of humble pie.
I'll eat half of it. we definitely would text it back and forth. Okay, Pham legitimately is a good fielder.
He's a good fielder. There was one twilight ball, which we've seen a lot in Padres history. The typical in the sky, it's 7 o'clock at night, and the fielder's like, I don't know where the ball is.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know where the ball is.
That happens every ball game at that time.
But he recovered, and he did a very. I'm not going to say a very good job. He did a good job, and
he was consistent and decent.
Jorge Mateo gets to start. Great speed, typically an okay defender, James.
Yes. Ball was hit deep center field.
Mateo runs back. He sees the ball. It's against the wall. He jumps up, James.
He catches the ball. The ball was a good foot away from being a home run.
And the ball, what does it do, James?
Bounced out of his glove like a frickin' cartoon and goes over the wall for a home run.
And that, kids, was just sad to watch.
That was just...
You could tell Blake Snell was like,
Yeah, the whole team, and he looked...
he. There's no way you can feel great about that.
No, I mean, it was...
It's a crazy athletic feat to do anyway, the play he was going at it. I don't know if Grisham makes the play or plays it off the wall, to be honest. Or if Grisham goes all the way against the wall and just, like, reaches up. Tough to say. Grisham wasn't out there. However, it happened, and that kind of was the ball game because we only scored 2 runs, James. We didn't really do a lot offensively once again. RBI for Mr. Will Myers. Home runs off for the weird sidewinder. The weird twin. One of the only twins in baseball, James. Tyler Rogers. His weird sidewinder knuckle dragger guy. Woo! Hits the ball.
So he has a twin?
Yeah, named Trevor Rogers. Or
okay.
Taylor Rogers. Trevor Rogers is a pitcher for the Marlins. Taylor Rogers is a pitcher for the Twins.
And they're both sidewinders?
But Taylor Winder is a different arm slot, and he's a lefty. Isn't that fun?
That fun twin facts here for this Padre.
Jorge Mateo actually also, had a single and had a second run, RBI. Half redeems himself by baseball standards. He allows 2 runs, gets 1 back.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So we live in a society, James, with the dreaded extra inning rule. Do you want to explain the extra inning rules to people?
Okay, so here's the extra inning rule. The Major League Baseball is a game for adults. It's geared, all the rules are geared in hopes that these are athletes in their peak physical and athletic conditioning. And for some reason, when it goes to extra innings now, Major League Baseball said, hey, let's make this Little League. Let's put, at the beginning of every extra inning, beginning of game, let's put a random runner on second base.
It's not random. It's the last person who got out is supposed to go on second base. But you can pitch running for him, so.
Yeah, so you could put a runner out in second base. So, meaning everybody starts off with a leadoff double, which what happened was our pitcher, through a gem of a 10th inning, he gave up 2 lazy fly balls to the outfield, which were used as sacrifice flies. We could have gotten out. You argued that the Padres couldn't drive our guy home. We got close, but it's just so frustrating just have some random dude start at second base. I have been to a game, the longest game I've ever been lasted 18 innings. It was awesome. I made it on the Jumbotron the last 2 innings, mainly because there was me and like 3 other people in the stadium. And so I was on the Jumbotron. I hate this rule. I'm not just because the Padres lost. I've always hated this rule. We did it to shorten up games during COVID last year, and Major League Baseball just kept it. It's the stupidest rule. They're Major League Baseball players. They are paid a king's ransom to play a kid's game. I don't want to see kid rules. I want to see them go out there and earn their victory. If it takes 27 innings, they blow out their pitcher. Hey, Jake Cronenworth does have to pitch because we're out of pitchers.
Right.
This is the kind of stuff you see in baseball. This is the kind of stuff that makes baseball fun for me. I know other people, it's boring, it drags out the game. No, you're wrong. I hate it when players whine about unwritten rules and whine about stupid, just nonsense. You're being paid millions of dollars to play a sport at the height of sportsmanship. You're paying the height. You're the peak athletes of this country. Play peak athlete rules.
So you're telling me you like it, James? My problem with it is if you're going to speed up the game, make it a real feat athleticism. If you want to be hokey with it, then at least do hokey stuff like you get 5 fastballs. You got to hit a home run. Like whoever hits the most, do it like hockey rules where and I should say this. I think Jimmy O'Brien said this, John Boy, have the first 2 10th and 11th be normal. If it's 12th, do something to speed it up. Like that's fine.
But
do it where it's like a really athleticism, because doing a bunt and a sac fly, it just ruins the fun of a walk-off. It ruins the fun of like late innings. And if you want to make it fun, make it heightened. Make it real athleticism. Don't just make it like this whatever you move, like, because what happens is it's like whoever has the fastest runner in a second, whoever can put down 2 sacrificable hits just kind of wins the game. And they're just not fun. It's just not fun at all. And I
agree. Maybe after the 14th inning, do this.
Or maybe do a home run derby. Like
that makes more sense.
Here's 10 pitches. We'll soft toss them to you. Even whoever gets 10. Like we've all seen the home run derby.
Yeah.
Even soft toss, you're not guaranteed that kind of stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like at least if baseball is ultimately an entertainment, and your solution in late innings to be playing the most boring baseball to end it, like I love when someone hits a leadoff double and they get a run in that way.
Yeah, a leadoff double, then 2 sacrifices.
Yeah, in the 5th inning. Yeah, like I like that.
Well, even in extra innings, if someone led off the inning with a double and then 2 sacrifices got him in, that's an earned run. Again, I don't like the fact that they're playing. This feels like a little league mercy rule.
Oh yeah, it does, and I think it's, as my friend Roger said, who's a Giants fan, I hate the rule unless it benefits me and I win. So I think I hate this rule. So we played the Giants last year. I went to extras as well in at AT&T Park, or maybe is it Oracle? AT&T Park.
Who cares?
The one by the bay.
Yeah,
it's the same thing. 10th inning comes around and they throw out. I think it was like going to the 11th, and there's a guy on second. This is obviously their third rung, not high leverage reliever. So the Padres scored 5 runs. It's like, this is not what you want. This is just like whatever baseball. This is like, you want to see the best of the best, not like artistic bunting and some sacrifice fly. I agree. I think it's silly.
I hate it. I even hated it last year when the Padres did win from this.
It's just not.
This is a common. I love baseball, and the one thing that again always bugs me, they're being paid a king's ransom to play a children's game. I want to see you earn your runs, your hits. Yeah. I want to see you do this the legit way. These stupid. I mean,
imagine like trying to explain to a brand new baseball fan. 10th inning rolls around and you see let's just say for this sample's sake, Mike Trout. Mike Trout comes up and it's the 9th inning and they walk him. There's 2 outs, walk him, and they get the next guy out. And then you're like, oh great, we're gonna see him again. We're gonna see more baseball. No, Jimmy. We're gonna have the least exciting part about baseball, which is just this whatever get me over sport. We're not gonna see the hitters try to be great hitters.
We're going to see the hitters be little leaguers and just get the guy to third.
It honestly, like, it's one of the dumbest. It's probably the dumbest thing Rob Manfred's done.
And if you're not the biggest baseball fans, it's the equivalent of starting in like the football drags on for another quarter. It's starting every team starts the next quarter or whatever it's called in the red zone.
Yeah, you're already like 3/4 of the way down the field.
Yeah.
It's just like, what are you doing? I don't know. I think it's silly, but we lost James. Some notes about it. Obviously, we're still not a great defensive team. We're still little shaky. We lead the Major League Baseballs in all errors, James. We lead it. And that's not good. That won't get it done, James.
No, it's not. Kim got an error, which is unusual. Apparently, he was a defensive god.
That whole game was weird. Manny got an error. Kim got an error. Mateo didn't get an error, but obviously it was an error.
Yes.
It was odd.
Whoever their official scorekeeper was didn't do a very good job.
I think Hassan Kim. James, you want to do some what general thoughts about this week before we move on to the topic?
Sure.
I think Hassan Kim is going to be awesome. I think he's starting to really make contact. He falls into this category of unlucky players.
Oh yeah, he had quite a lot of power just into people's gloves.
Yeah. And people thought, he needs a year in the minors to catch up to a fastball. He's hitting 95 plus mile an hour fastballs in the zone, and he's hitting them for fly balls, like warning track fly balls. To me, that was a great sign. He's a great defender besides that one error. I think that very excited about that. Cool to see him play. I think that with Tatis down, we're going to see some pretty exciting stuff from him. I think we're going to see him more and more. And I think it could be. I think he's the kind of person to take advantage of it.
I hope so.
Yeah. Any other thoughts about this week, James?
No. Other than it wasn't where we wanted to be. Yes, we still have a winning record. We still have a lot of potential. We still are a great team. I am. There are more positives as negatives. I'm looking forward to playing next week. That's it.
I'm very, very excited, James, because, we should go back a little bit. You and I made a little friendly wager about what our we didn't make any wager. We just guessed what our record would be.
Yeah.
James. You said
6-1.
6-1. I said 5-2. We're both wrong.
We're both wrong.
We're 4-3, James. But that's baseball, James. That's baseball. Baseball is not something that very predictable. And when you have lead MLB in errors, that's kind of your downfall. But James, as we look forward to the next year, I'm not recapping
6
the
games.
next year. The next 6 games, James. Maybe 7 games when we record this next time. Depends on when we record this.
Yeah, okay.
We're going to face the Texas Rangers at the Texas Rangers Stadium, which I forget the name of it.
And if you don't remember, fellow baseball fans, that is where Slam Diego got started.
Also, you can put the whole state of Texas in its outfield. Very big. Very, very big. We face them for 3 games, James. And then we go to the Pittsburgh Pirates, one of the prettier stadiums in all of baseball, PNC Park, for 4 games, James. Those are both bad teams.
Very bad.
So,
the worst in their division's bad.
I think the biggest challenge, James, is going to be... I got to think of someone. I know every pitcher in all these teams, but I want to be nice to one of them. Kyle Gibson. I'm going to say Kyle Gibson for the Texas Rangers is going to be tough. I think we face him on Sunday. I think he's going to be the biggest challenge, James, but I don't think he's going to be challenging enough. I think we're actually going to be 6-1 this next 7 games.
Yes, the Diamondbacks and the Giants are pesky because they're in our division.
I think they're better teams than both.
They are definitely better teams than the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Rangers. There's no doubt about it. Yes, 6-1 is not an overreach of what we can do.
I think we're gonna go on a little flight. I mean, you saw those photos, James. They're looking fly. Hosmer might have a $3,000 suit on. Manny might have a $30,000 suit on.
Those are some cool photos.
Yeah, they're just looking fly, looking good. Look good, feel good. Look good, feel good, hit good. Everything's bigger in Texas, James.
Like I said, that game, that series in Texas last year, kicked off the Padres' offense.
Yeah.
It led us to a giant winning streak. It led us to the playoffs. We hit very well in those fields, and our core guys are still there. Mm-hmm. And the Rangers somehow just got worse this year than they were last year.
Yeah,
and so do the Pirates. They both both teams managed to either not sign or trade away their only decent players. I can't tell you a single Pirates name.
Yeah, there's a guy named Chad Cool, James. Don't disrespect. And Colin Moran, Cole Tucker.
His name.
Keanu-
Did you say his last name is Cool?
Chad Cool.
And they didn't name him,
Kuhl.
they didn't name him Joe Cool.
No, we named him Chad Cool. How sad is that?
Chad Cool's parents, you should be ashamed of yourself. You don't name your kid Joe Cool after Snoopy. Bad parenting.
Yeah, the Pirates trade away Musgrove, trade away Jameson Tyone. They don't have much pitching staff. The Rangers have Kyle Gibson. They trade away Lance Lynn. Rangers should have been very good last year. They weren't. And Rangers are just... There's Joey Gallo. Joey Gallo is always a threat in the outfield. Big power lefty. But the Pirates and them, I don't know. If the Padres are as good as they are, as we think they are, we should run through these teams.
Yes. Question.
Yes.
Do you think, because the Rangers coach manager is such an old school fuddy-duddy, do you think we'll see any revenge from the Grand Slams? He threw at Machado last year, and we just hit more Grand Slams off him. Do you think there's going to be any retaliation for that?
I like this drama you're building. I like this idea that there is drama, because I never thought about it, but I do think there is. I think, well, Montero's no longer a part of their team. No longer. I'm thinking of the relief pitchers that are on the Rangers still.
Well, no, it's not that. It's their manager.
Yeah,
Washington. That's who I'm thinking.
I think that's a great question, because if he's still resentful, yeah, it could be. I don't know how I would like it if watching
I guarantee you, if Tatis was still in the lineup, he would have got thrown out this weekend.
I like that you think this is a thing, because I honestly would not have thought that would be retaliation. But I don't think you're wrong, because they did honestly throw at Machado like right afterwards.
Yeah, I didn't think this at all, and I'm really sorry because I forgot the guy's YouTube channel, but I found this Ranger fan's YouTube channel. Well, it is talking about the Rangers, obviously, and he was talking about it. He goes, and this was last year during the controversy. He goes, I looked at the schedule. If we play the Padres last year, I guarantee you we're going to throw at him again. And this guy hates the Rangers manager. He's like, he's so, and he talked, I didn't know all the stuff this guy's done. He's
right.
Yeah, he does stuff like this because this is how the game is played, old school. No, that's not how the game was played 30 years ago when you were a player.
Yeah.
And so I think we might see a couple of our Padres get thrown at.
And the coronavirus is in Texas, so we can have a brawl. It'd be okay.
Oh, that's right. I forgot the coronavirus left Texas. They scared it away.
So I think I'd be
just all the players go out and just start spitting at each other. Here's our San Diego germs.
No, he's spitting on me. Okay.
That's so stupid.
Now I want to see a brawl, and I want to see spitting. I want to see Cronenworth spit.
Who is going to be the most dangerous in a brawl for us? And legitimately, Tommy Pham.
Oh, yeah.
Because we don't know what happened to the guy that stabbed him. The police say they couldn't find him. I'm doing air quotes. I think Tommy Pham killed the man.
Oh, I think, yeah, So let's just break it down. Who are the top 5 Padres you don't want to see against you in a fight? Tommy Pham.
Tommy Pham is so strong and muscular, he's knife proof.
Yeah, it goes Tommy Pham. Machado?
Machado will go for your knees. You know that. Machado will spike you in the shins. And Machado has started a lot of fights in his day. He knows how to fight in a ballpark.
He's also huge. I don't want to... I think Machado I don't want to see... You know what a sneaky pick is? I don't necessarily want to see someone like God, why can't I think of his name? Tim Hill, our alma mater, in a fight. He's got that like the sidewinderness. He just like he's the kind of guys like you find out, oh, I'm a purple belt in jiu-jitsu.
Oh, yeah.
He locks you up and you're just like, oh, I'm unconscious all of a sudden, and
Cronenworth has had martial arts training just because
oh yeah.
he's an expert at so many things. He's definitely thrown a punch. And Darvish is a ninja. We know that.
Oh yeah, Darvish, 6'5", Darvish, the tallest Padre. Yeah, he'll definitely F you up. He'll definitely ruin your day. He'll definitely.
Yeah, you're hearing this, Ranger fans.
Yeah,
you're hearing this, Rangers teams.
We're not. They will fight.
The guy that I'm legitimately like, oh, he will mess you up, is definitely Tommy Pham.
Yeah,
he's knife proof. He's been in legitimate bar fights with knives. This guy's not afraid to bring a bat onto a ballpark to do a brawl. He's just, anyways. That's my hot take on the Rangers.
But it was a good first week of baseball, James. Good looking forward, James. We have some hot topics before we end up episode, and they're baseball related, of course, because we're a baseball podcast. The first one is going to be around Tatis Jr., James, because we mentioned earlier he is struggling with an injury. He is on the 10-day IL with a labral tear. The thought is that if they don't need surgery immediately, take all of this information with a grain of salt because it comes from Major League Baseball teams, and Major League Baseball teams are known to not tell you the truth.
Especially about their star players.
He's on the 10-day IL. They say it actually won't affect his playing, and they might ride it out until it might, if it exacerbates it and gets worse. I hate that idea, James. Imagine telling someone, imagine being like, you bought a house for, I don't know, a mortgage, for example. I don't know, for 14 years, for example. And the first year you're like, I don't know, it might blow up if you keep doing this thing, but if you fix it now, it'll be there for 14 years. Don't you think you should do the thing that lasts 14 years?
I agree. I think, funny thing is, I thought for sure we were going to have an argument about this. I agree. I would, as much as it kills me to say, I would rather lose Fernando Tatis for the rest of this year.
Oh, yeah.
And have him come back a healthy superstar 23-year-old when our Padre team is going to have another great superstar pitcher coming back the same year. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, the Padres aren't just going to be good this year.
Yeah.
We potentially are going to have a very competitive team for the next 4 or 5 years. And if AJ Preller has his way, we'll have a very competitive team for the next decade. I don't want to see Fernando Tatis Jr. hurt again. Unless he's like, 34 years old. Oh, he'll be on a 15-day disable to rest his joints. I would rather him have a surgery and get it over with. But then again, this might shock you, listeners. I am not a medical professional.
A well-known subject, a well-known thing we've talked about on this podcast. You and I aren't doctors.
We're not doctors. But we do have a doctor in the family, and we should consult her.
Yes.
Should we have her on the podcast?
Come on our podcast.
Come on the podcast, Rachel. You know who you are.
I think that this is... It's really odd because it's one of those weird things with players in the union. You can't... There is a certain give and take where players can still have autonomy in what the kind of rehab they want. But I do think the Padres should just really hammer it to Tatis. Hey, if you wake up one morning with a bad, if Padres are like, hey, let's start you again, they have to put in clear, very clearly to Tatis, if you wake up one morning feeling a bad shoulder ache, we're shutting down for having a surgery. This, you cannot make this a worse problem. And I understand Tatis's drive is Oh no, there's no doubt he wants to
He would be on the field tomorrow.
Yeah.
If it did with the hurt shoulder and everything, he wants to be. I love him for the super competitiveness. I think we all do.
That's what makes him a superstar.
That's what makes him a superstar. But, and I can say this as a semi-older person, I'm 38 years old. Anybody under 25 are stupid. Fernando Tatis Jr. is better at me than almost any activity physical you can think of. Well, he just is. There's anything. He's just better at me. I know from experience and age, you get older.
Yeah.
He is on, I'm just going to be young and strong forever. No. He has to think long term. He needs to, again, I don't know what the doctors might do a little scan and go, you can stretch it this way and you'll be fine for the year. We don't know if that's the case or not. If it's bad and they're just going to push off surgery, no, I would rather have surgery now and be healthy forever. Apparently this problem can be surgically fixed. I know it can be surgically fixed because the second time I popped out my shoulder, they said, we can go in surgically and fix this. Again, it might not be the same injury, but again, can't stress enough, I'm not a doctor. The doctor was like, well, you just always have a fear if you're doing something super physical, you could pop your shoulder out. I'm like, well, I just won't do anything super physical. That's just what I can do.
He needs to be taken care of and shut down. You can't have him swing again and have it happen.
No, I can't. I cannot watch him swing the bat so hard he pulls his shoulder out of his socket. I want him to be. I want him to have a fantastic career.
Yeah.
Again, we don't know. It could be an easy thing that they can fix. They could put a brace on him and he could be fine for a year. We don't know this. It could be the thing. I would just rather see him come back stronger next year.
Yeah.
And again, who knows how long the surgery might recover from?
Yeah, I mean, so Alberto Mondesi from the Kansas City Royals had the same surgery and it took him 6 weeks to come back.
So he'd be back by the All-Star break.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean,
once again, we're not doctors.
We're not doctors.
Yeah, to me, that's obvious. It's so obvious to me. You plan for someone to be your employee for 14 years. Yeah. Don't ruin your employee's life in year one.
Yeah, his home run this year was his 40th home run in his career. He is the fastest. I mean, he's only played 140 games in his career. Yeah. He is the fastest player ever no other player has ever hit 40 home runs in their first 140 games.
Yeah.
This kid's a superstar. I would rather, again, we're not doctors. I would rather see him have the surgery and get fixed.
Yeah. I think that the Padres are in a good place. That it doesn't have to be all. It could very well be just 2 months. I know it's a lot in baseball time. That's 50 to 60 games, right? But we're a great team.
We're gonna be in the playoffs this year.
Yeah.
Just imagine, August comes around. Here comes a fully healthy Tatis Jr.
Yeah,
he would be a shot in the arm.
I think it's, as an aside, I think it's crazy that there's a good chance that Tatis Jr. has signed a $340 million deal and never gone to an All-Star game.
That's true. Oh,
It'll be his third year and never gone to an All-Star game. Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy. But again, we're not doctors. He might come back in 10 days, be fine.
Yeah. So I think we're gonna see some great ball games out of Kim. Cronenworth will probably slide over. Maybe see Manny Machado back at shortstop again. No, we won't see that. But it'd be fun if he did.
He's a really good defensive shortstop.
I think we're set up very well for it. And I think that we'll miss that bat, his excitement. But when we get Grish back on Friday, Trent Grisham back, that's going to be a great addition.
He's a spark plug as well. Machado will only start hitting. Machado is too good of a player not to be this unlucky.
And like I said, yeah,
and he's always been a spark plug as well.
yeah, he's a feel hitter. Machado is, and he's not going to feel any different.
There's going to be a lot of weeks recap where we're going to be talking about Machado.
Yeah,
it's very rare. This is the first week we have.
Like we still talked about, because he's still a great defender, and he still hit the crap out of the ball.
Yeah.
So yeah, James, I'm obviously, like the rest of the Padres fan, I'm very bummed about Tatis. I think though that he's gonna have. I still think he's gonna have a long, fruitful career, but I just want to make sure the Padres are. I want to make sure. What am I going to do? Go to AJ Preller's office. Don't you dare do it. Don't you dare play Tatis. I don't know why I turned to Richard Nixon there, but
that was Richard Nixon.
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I just want to see a long, fruitful career, like you said. Other items to talk about, James. Other things we're seeing in baseball. We talked about last week or 2 weeks ago, the banning of sticky substances, James. And we're seeing that the first time confirmed that Trevor Bauer has his balls that were pitched in play.
Oh, so check this out, ladies and gentlemen.
Taken out?
He's thrown a ball. The umpire takes the ball, throws it to a dugout where somebody puts the ball in an evidence bag you see in a CSI show, like it's been killed somebody, and they sent to Major League Baseball's lab to get tested. Apparently, they did this with over 30 pitches he's thrown.
I don't get it, man.
Somebody's job is to, evidence seal these baseballs, which is, again, a good idea if they want to end the sticky substance abuse. But the only pitcher they're doing this to is Trevor Bauer. And the only reason why they're doing this to Trevor Bauer, because Trevor Bauer is a troll, and he's the only one who's already admitted to using sticky substances because he's a troll and wants to get everybody in trouble.
I think it's really weird that I think it's so weird that I want to believe this is happening to other baseball like teams and other players. I really hope that this is not just Trevor Bauer and people are capitalizing it because they know Trevor Bauer gets in the headlines. We're talking about it, obviously. But part of me does think that MLB is this petty. MLB only targeting Trevor Bauer. And I know Trevor Bauer is kind of poo-pooing it, and so is agent on Twitter. But I don't know. I think that they, like, I joked earlier, it's like it's the whistleblower strategy of like, no, once you hear the whistleblower, there's no more complaints because the whistleblower is gone.
Yes.
It's just like, it's weird, man. I think it's a weird look for baseball. It's a weird look to not announce, hey, we're doing this for everybody, and only to do it for Bauer. It's just weird.
Because they know Bauer's doing it for a fact, and they're going to test his first, and then they know what to test for.
I don't know. It just seems so weird. It's so weird. It's so weird.
It's 100% petty. It is so, okay, you're going to make this a national thing. Everyone was okay with it, just quietly ignoring it like we sort of ignored steroids for 20 years. Let's ignore that people using sticky substances. And the fact of the matter is, hitters haven't complained about the sticky substance. They actually prefer it when a pitcher knows where the ball is going, so it's not going for their head. And so they prefer the pitcher knowing where the ball is going. Sorry. Trevor Bauer, because he's an evil person, started this whole like, oh, well, Garrett Cole, who's a nice person I don't like because I'm evil, is doing it. We don't know if he's doing it or not. We do know he is doing it. So I'm going to start doing it. And I'm going to start documenting it. And I'm going to start proving it. And so he's gotten better. Just signed the biggest contract in sports history.
He is not the biggest contract. He's had the biggest annual, like, in baseball. Lionel Messi signed a $150 million a year deal.
I don't even know who he is. I'm assuming he is a soccer player.
He's a football
because
player.
Whenever somebody says some name that I don't know. Like he's got to be a
I
soccer
find
player.
it very disrespectful you don't know who Lionel Messi is.
I do know who he is. He was in the Olympics or whatever it was. He's the guy with the screwed up feet. I don't care about these communist sports. I care about baseball, America's pastime.
I think it's weird. I think it's just kind of.
Well, Here's the thing. Major League Baseball said they were going to do this.
I know they said they're going to do it. It's just weird that they haven't said, "Oh, we're doing this for everybody." And according to Trevor Bauer, they are doing it to everybody. And I don't know.
They could be,
Yeah.
but you want to know the fact of the matter is, Trevor Bauer is an internet troll. Yeah. He's the only one complaining about it. Yeah, they're stealing my balls. I wish they would. Anyways, so he's an internet troll. Every other pitcher probably knows they're doing this. And again, because they're professionals and gentlemen, aren't whining about it like a troll.
Yeah, let's see, man. I don't know. I don't know. It's just so, I don't know. I don't know why I find it so weird. I just think it feeds into this. It's almost like this tit for tat gossipy thing. It was very similar to the steroid era when that happened. It was weird to see MLB, but like, oh, we're gonna wag the finger. Like you knew, like Bud Selig's career and accolades were born on the backs of steroid users.
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden you're like, I never liked steroids. Like, well, okay, buddy. Okay, you didn't fly around with Mark McGwire whenever he was close to 66 or 62 rather. Like you didn't do that. You weren't the one there that walked on the field to shake Mark McGwire's hand. That wasn't you. That was someone else.
Yeah, you got the highest ratings in Major League Baseball history because of that.
That wasn't you.
They're interviewing Mark McGwire in the locker room, and behind him in his locker is just racks and racks of pharmaceuticals. That literally are games like names like Muscle X and Hit Ball Hard. They're so yeah.
I don't know. It's just I don't know how it's going to end up. It's entertaining though. It's fun to read. A few more things, James. We saw doesn't really have an effect on the Padres, but we saw earlier today Brendan Nimmo reached his elbow out into the strike zone and got a hit by batsman while the bases were loaded and walked off the Marlins by extending his elbow into the strike zone, and the umpires didn't call it. It was so odd. It seemed like such like it felt like a moment like that was like when I saw that I was like, oh, usually the Padres are in the Marlins situation.
So yeah, again, so the Mets had the bases loaded. It was the ninth inning. There was one out. Their cleanup hitter is up to the plate, who has not been doing very well the first 6 games of the season. The pitcher throws a ball, perfect high strike, right down the middle. The batter leans into the strike zone.
What's important to say, it's also 2 strikes.
Also 2 strikes, yeah.
Yeah.
It would have been a strikeout. He leans into the strike zone, puts his left elbow, right elbow, because he's left-handed, right into the path of the ball, and gets hit.
It was so weird, man.
That the Mets win the ball game. Don Mattingly rightfully threw a fit because they stole a win from the Florida Marlins. And it's just one of those random things happening in baseball you have to talk about.
Yeah.
Because this what the rule is, the batter has to do what he can to
get out of the way.
And if he doesn't, he gets called out.
Yeah.
The umpire at the end of the game went, oh yeah, I should have called him out. Which, again, I haven't talked about this much because Joey gives me an eye whenever I do. This leads to my belief that everything is in New York sports team's favor.
Wow.
I saw this in the 1998 World Series where the Yankees got random calls against the Padres.
23 years ago.
Whatever. It still hurts. The pain is fresh. And now the Mets are good, so they're getting calls. It is I hate it when New York gets biased, and they always do. And this is clearly New York biased.
It was obvious. So New York announcers were like, "This is stupid. It's going to be overturned." Like even the announcers on the Mets were like, "This is definitely not right. This is definitely not how you win a game."
Much like when Bob Costas said, "Oh, that was clearly strike 3." In the 1998 World Series, and the next pitch, Tino Martinez hit a grand slam, changing the course of the entire game 1.
23 years ago. 23
Just saying.
years ago.
I think the umpires need to be held accountable.
Ron Colbo's a garbage umpire.
He is a garbage umpire. Angel Hernandez and his entire squad should be relegated to work at juice bars for the rest of their lives. They should not have anything to do with sports whatsoever.
It was rough.
There is clearly a New York bias. That is my conspiracy tinfoil hat of the day.
And I think another thing we got to talk about with Padres, of course, Trent Grisham is coming back on Friday, as we mentioned before. Who we're going to drop, James? Who we're going to drop? Brian O'Grady? Probably dropping Brian O'Grady. Tucupita Marcano got a hit in his 3 at-bats. Brian O'Grady in his 1 at-bat did not get a hit.
Jorge Mateo
at least can make contact.
Yeah, I think.
Do you think it's
But
like
Brian O'Grady only had 1 at-bat.
And he does. I mean, this is the weird thing. You have center field capable players now. We have. Let's preface this. Preferable center field players are Pham, Grisham, obviously now, who will be the starter. We'll have Mateo, and then and Brian O'Grady has played center field also in the majors.
The logical choice would probably be O'Grady or Mateo. I would say Tucupita
Marcano.
Him would stay just because he's an infielder. And all of our outfielder has been solved with Grisham back. Our infield is still with Tatis gone for however long. Our infield is still not solid.
Yep.
Obviously, Grimm is going to get the majority of starts, but if he doesn't, we're going to we could play around with it. Cronenworth will be short. There's plenty of ways to go around. Tucupita Marcano could play second and short. So can Jackson Profar, and he can also play the outfield. I think we keep the infielder.
Got it. I think you're probably close to right. But who knows? Maybe we go for Texas. We want power. Maybe we go for we need someone who has more power skills. So Brian Gray does get more at bats. I don't know. I'm interested to see, James. But when we record next, James, what's going to happen is we're going to be 6-1 better.
Yes, we are.
We're going to be 10-4, and it'll be awesome. More baseball next week. Excited to see it. Excited to see us play with the DH again, James. No more black hole of a pitcher.
Correct.
No more Blake Snell being like, I'm good at ping pong and not hit a ball.
He got a hit. He got a hit.
And also, you, Darvish, almost got 2 doubles.
That's true.
Victor Tarantini was asked if you think Darvish could ever hit a home run. He laughed like, oh, no, he stinks at hitting. So rude.
He's my best friend.
James, that is all for this week. Remember to like us on YouTube, subscribe, hit the bell. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple Podcasts, Overcast, Pocket Casts, everything, James. And
all the casts.
All the casts. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you guys next week.
See you next week.
And there it is! Ho-ho, doctor! You can hang a star